School Heritage Award. Jim is a 1969 graduate of Hill High School. After Hill, Jim went on to receive a degree from the University of St. Thomas in political science and education. He was also a 4-year letter winner in baseball. Guards, you see what I mean? 2 degrees and played baseball. So we're going to feel that. Jim left St. Thomas and went on to be a business icon on the East Side. As owner of Little Oven in Morelli's Market, Jim is quiet but passionate about employing those with special needs or those with troubled pasts looking for a second chance. At the request of Archbishop Flynn, he was intimately involved in the planning and building of St. Ambrose Church in Woodbury. Jim was also sought out by Mayors Norm Coleman and Randy Kelly to serve on various advisory committees for St. Paul regarding economic development and neighborhood revitalization. You should know that we are not the first to recognize Jim. He has had the privilege of being honored by the Merrick Foundation, the Little Sisters of the Poor, Sacred Heart Church of St. Paul, and the Hmong Leadership Council. He is also a recipient of the Brooker Lifetime Achievement Award for Eastside Business Excellence. In addition to all of that, Jim generously supports our auction every year by stocking the bars for the crowd of nearly 700 people. Jim Hansen and I mentioned how the auction has grown from like $50,000 in Friends of Hill Murray to $500,000. And I would say the single biggest reason is Jim Morelli. Well, while all of this is impressive, the most important thing to Jim are his family and friends. I experienced this firsthand when Jean Nyman shared with me the impact that you had on her husband Mark's final weeks. You and Monty were there for Mark when he needed you most. The East Side of St. Paul is truly lucky to have such a dedicated supporter in Jim Morelli, and we are proud to call him one of our own here at Hill Murray. Please join me in congratulating Jim as a recipient of the Hill High School Heritage Award.
Oh boy. Well, thank you, Chris, for those kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, friends of Hill Murray, fellow honorees, I would like to thank Jim Hansen, Chris Selfer, Judy Heilo Schwartz, their committee, and all those responsible for this evening's program. It's especially gratifying for me to be in the company tonight of Brother Arnold, my freshman algebra teacher, and Brother Francis, my sophomore homeroom advisor. They, of course, are icons of Hill and Hill Murray, and are so loved and so respected for all that they gave and continue to give. I'd like to introduce, thank you. I would like to introduce those who have been so kind to join and celebrate with me tonight. My lifelong friend Pat and his wife Rosie, my sister-in-law Kathy and her husband Al, and my brother-in-law Jimmy D'Amato from the class of 68, my sister Mary, class of Archbishop Murray, 65, and her partner Karen, my son Matthew, the class of 99, my daughter Andrea from the class of 01 and her husband Matt, and my son Anthony from the class of 04, and oh boy, these classmates of mine that showed up without me knowing tonight, and their spouses, they were so overwhelmingly thoughtful. Such a great group of people. I can't thank you enough. And then finally, for nostalgia's sake tonight, I brought my prom date. And this September, it'll be 50 years ago, we had our first date at Hill Murray. She's a Hill Murray graduate from 69. And she's the best part of anything good that there is in me. She's my life's compass. my wife of 43 years, Mary Beth. So in acceptance speeches such as these awards tonight, you often hear the words honored and humbled, and I am both. Yet I am even more humbled once I learned who my predecessors for this award were and what they had taken forward from their Hill and Archbishop Murray and Hill Murray experiences to make the world a better place. I've had many blessings in my life, and I am blessed to receive this recognition. But I must be honest and tell you that I really don't know why I'm the one chosen to stand before you tonight. Hill High School, that building 1 mile west of here, was more than a place to get a great high school education. It was a place where you were shaped and fashioned, formed, sculpted during your most seminal years of your young life. But by the time you left, you were given a box full of tools for your further development. In my mind's eye, there are certain things that stand out. It was that locker room, the first time you walked in, and you walked into that shower stall. 24 shower heads with the accompanying chain, with absolutely no privacy. And there you were, right as you were, and really in front of God and everybody. And the Board of Education, that really was a board that kept you in line. And that feeling when you got your blue blazer your sophomore year, that and that accompanying feeling with that blazer that now you really belonged and you were a part of something. And the rest of our uniform. I came from St. Pascal's where boys didn't wear uniforms. We at Hill were all looking the same. We had our black ties, our powder blue shirts, our gray pants, and our black Red Rocket shoes. But in many ways, those uniforms were great equalizers. They took the richer and the poorer, and the haves and the have-nots out of the equation. Those uniforms taught a lesson. It didn't matter what you looked like. What mattered, what set you apart underneath that similar window dressing, was who you really were. At Hill, not all the education occurred in the classroom. I like to tell stories, so let me give you a few examples of what I mean by what happened to me and the life lessons that I took forward from it. Junior year, I had John Maurer for economics, and he had a rule. If you were getting an A, you didn't have to take the final. And you all know that was a great thing not to have to take the final. And I was sitting on a bubble between an A and a B, and we were going over the test answers in class, and one was checked off wrong. And I put my hand up and I said, you know, Mr. Maurer, I think you're wrong here. I said, see, it says right here in our workbook that this is the way it should be, that actually we have it wrong, and it should be this. And he didn't respond. And those of you that had Mr. Maurer would know he didn't respond. And he went on for a while, and then I raised my hand again and I said, but Mr. Maurer, regarding my prior point, it says here in the textbook that, and he said, Morelli, come up to the front. I went up to his desk and he reached in his desk and he took out a torn slip of paper and he handed it to me. And he said, you can be seated. So I walked back and I looked at the little piece of paper and it said TS slip on it. So when I got out of the room, the kids said to me, they said, what did he give you? And I said, it was the slip that says TS. And they said, what do you think it means? I think it's tough S-H-I-T. Well, I had it right. And he never said anything for quite a while. And he had a habit that he used to stand by the classroom door while you filed in to make sure you were all seated before the buzzer went up. And he called me over after about a week, and he said, did you understand the slip I gave you? And I said, I know what it means. He said, no. He said, listen, Morelli, sometimes in life, you can be right, it won't matter. It might be with your boss, it might be with your supervisor at work, it might be a family discussion, it might be a community meeting. He said, you'll have to live with the ruling of how other people see it. Because at that time you don't have the power to change it. And also, it's best when to know to stop pressing your point. Say what you have to say and let it be. It's sometimes much more important to know when not to talk than when to talk. My senior year, my homeroom advisor was Jerry Fila. I think he was only at Yale for 1 year. He left to become a very prominent attorney in St. Paul. And close to graduation, he and his wife were expecting their first baby. And he took a couple days off when the baby was born. And us guys that were in the homeroom, we decided to get him a gift for the baby. So we bought a little outfit and a bat and a ball and a glove. And when he came back from his days off, we gave him the present. And he just broke down in tears and wept unashamedly in front of all of us. And he thanked us profusely. He just couldn't believe that us group of guys would take the time to do that. In those days, you weren't supposed to cry. You weren't supposed to show your emotions. It wasn't the manly thing to do. But I remember thinking how great it was that he cried, and how wonderful it was that he was willing to share and show his emotions to us. And I'm sure he never knew how much warmth and happiness and appreciation that we all got from his willingness to share how he really felt. Mr. Fielder taught us how to be genuine, and I've tried to take that forward. Then Brother Christopher, he was our senior moderator. If I remember correctly, there was about 10 kids who were nominated to fill the positions of president, first and second vice president, and secretary treasurer of the class. I happened to be one of the 10 nominated, and I certainly didn't want to serve. And I didn't think I would be nominated, but I wanted to take any question out of the equation. So I went to Brother Christopher and said I wanted my name taken off the ballot. And Brother Christopher said, okay, we can do that. You'll have to come to my office to do that. So I showed up at Brother Christopher's office, and he said, so why do you want out? And I said, well, you know, brother, I got a part-time job. I work at my dad's store on Friday nights and Saturdays. And I got to stay after school about 3 months, you know, during baseball season. And really, when school's over, I just want to go home. And I don't want to do anything about planning about senior year or anything like that. And he said to me, in a real short course on want, need, and service. And this lesson he gave me, I tried to carry forward. He said, life is much more fruitful and rewarding when it involves you giving what others may want and need from you, rather than what you want and need for yourself alone. Well, I have one more story. And it involves my coach, John Maurer, again. We were all lining up during baseball practice, and we were running from home to first, and he had the stopwatch timing us all. And then we had to run from home around the bases. So after we ran to first, we were getting back in line. And it was coming up to my turn again, and he said, Morelli, get to the back of the line. So finally it was my turn to go around the bases. And he said, has everyone ran now about Morelli? And they all shook their head, yes. And he said, okay. And he put his stopwatch down on the bench. He said, I'll be right back. I have a calendar out in the car. Still makes me smile. I guess the lesson from there is that levity in the absence of malice can be a great asset in promoting teamwork and camaraderie, especially in group settings. And I've always tried to bring that forward in the workplace. Mr. Maurer had a great way of bringing that out to us and bringing it out in all of us. So, the principles and the philosophies and the values that the schools were founded upon have allowed it to be the chameleon that it's needed to be in order to stay vibrant and relevant throughout changing times. I hope that can be said of myself. Schools are not brick and mortar. They're not defined by buildings. They're defined by the people inside of them. And the greatest tribute that I can pay to the people who have been the school throughout these many decades is that you come to the school, and after 4 years you leave, but the school never leaves you. Thank you. Good evening.